Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond ARTV for another episode of 7 on Sunday. This week we have a pretty solemn subject on our hands, songs about death. This week I tackle 7 songs that are either alluding to, kind of referring to other situations, or just really anything involving the taking of a life, whether it be suicide, or contemplating suicide, or looking back on the life of another. These are 7 gut-wrenching, chilling, heartbreaking moments that really just struck a chord with me over my years listening to and falling in love with music. Music can be euphoric and take us away to another place, but it can also remind us of our own mortality. And while I don't personally fear death necessarily, I do fear maybe how or when I'm gonna die. It's not the afterlife that I fear, it's maybe the moment itself or how it's gonna occur. Is it gonna be painful? Is it gonna be awful? Or am I just gonna go in my sleep? I think it's something that a ton of us think about, and these are 7 songs that I find to be very, very chilling just because they talk about this very subject. I hope that you guys will enjoy this one. There is a playlist linked in the description down below. I highly recommend going to Genius and reading along with the lyrics because it helps you understand the songs that much more. Especially if you do a little bit of research with these tracks, it'll make them impact you that much more. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's start the countdown.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain.
My first pick might cause some controversy because this song is not just straight up about death, at least not if you're taking it at surface level. I have my own interpretation of the track, and of course if you listen to The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails as an album, it is a concept record, and the song preceding this, he's talking about shooting himself in the head, dying, and now on Hurt, I feel like this is him kind of bleeding out, carrying into the afterlife and reflecting on his life. He's seeing how he tried to use the drugs to take the pain away every day, shooting up heroin, injecting himself, or whatever it may have been to try and escape. Nothing was strong enough and nothing stopped the hurt. This song was covered by Johnny Cash, and that version as well is absolutely just mind-bending because it's so fucking good. And of course Johnny Cash died shortly after recording that in the music video that went along with it. It's painful to watch, guys. Honestly, I've cried multiple times whenever watching that and just listening to this original song as well, just thinking about that there's an individual out there going through these things and how it could be applicable to so many different situations and people out there struggling. It's a hell of a tune, and I think that you guys really should check it out. It was actually a few years before I realized Bulls in the Bronx is about death. This is a track that was written for Victoria, a girl from Australia that took her own life, even in the custody of a hospital. I believe she was under very protective care. She still managed to take her own life, and I highly recommend reading the story that goes along with this. Her mother was kind of a pivotal role in her life and trying to get her help, but this girl just felt so attacked, so traumatized. She could hear voices in her head. She had an imaginary friend. She felt bullied and hated by everyone that she ended up taking her own life. And Vic Quintez of Pierce the Veil was just so haunted by this tune that he decided to write this song, Bulls in the Bronx. And some people will interpret this to be a song about a relationship, kind of on a crash course for doom, I suppose, but I don't think that that's what this track is about whatsoever. It seems to all be about just getting pushed too far by bullies, not really knowing the impact of our own words, things that maybe we said to people, especially growing up in our very formative years. And I think this track's aggression really just is very relentless.
I was so scared of Jesus, but he sought me out. Like the cancer in my lungs is killing me now. And I've given up hope on the days I have left, but I cling to the hope of my life in the now.
My number 5 pick has been a very important song to me for a very long time. This is a song that I've been into since 2007 whenever this record dropped, and I actually have very specific memories of listening to this song in my old basement with my dad and him actually really kind of getting teared up while listening to this song, and I did as well, and I still will to this day. John Foreman plays the voice of God at the end of this track, and Matt Thiessen of Relient K is kind of summing up this character, going through the character's life, talking about all of these bad decisions that were made. Dad supposedly was a war hero, but in reality he was just a traveling preacher, went off and did his own thing, and the mom didn't really want any part of that. The kid grows up, like I said, gets this girl pregnant, and they get married because he's basically held at shotgun point, and there's a fallout as a result. They break up, he starts drinking, smoking, anything else, you name it, and his life falls apart. And this song is about death because he gets lung cancer, and all of that smoking ended up killing him. But the good news is that it wasn't too late because he sought out Jesus and found him, and it's a tale of redemption. And as sad as it may be, as heartbreaking as it is, there's still that shimmer of hope. And I love the outro on this track, which I was talking about. John Foreman of Switchfoot plays the voice of God here and just kind of singing and welcoming him into the kingdom of heaven. And I know that this is probably going over some people's heads who aren't religious, and I really don't intend to be preachy. It's just a very personal song for me. I really thoroughly enjoy it. It's not that I relate to it because I've been through these things in my life. It's just a very powerful tune because you see what just faith can do for an individual, and I find that to be so kind of comforting and powerful. Like I already said, it's a very impactful tune, and I love the change in pace whenever he kind of breaks down and says, I was so scared of Jesus, but he sought me out, like the cancer in my lungs is killing me now. The lyrical content on this track is so potent and such a strong reminder of how life can be, but what we can do to really just make it that much better.
My airbag light's been on for weeks, and I can feel it mock me. It's bittersweet, like laughter through crooked teeth. I wanna move so far from that.
We're really getting into some deep stuff here with my number 4 pick, A Song for Patsy Cline by the Wonder Years. This pop-punk alternative rock band are led by Dan Soupy Campbell, and he has a lot of struggles with depression. The whole band does, I think, because of the loss of some friends, just some events in their life, and just dealing with depression in general, having that chemical imbalance and not being able to find happiness that often. And then they lost their friend Mike, and that was written about so many times, not only on this newest record, No Closer to Heaven, but a lot of their past material as well. Cigarettes and Saints on the newest record was one that I feel like a lot of people would expect me to put on this list, but I did not want to go with the obvious choice here, so I chose and selected a favorite of mine, A Song for Patsy Cline. Patsy Cline is an individual, a recording artist back in the day, very popular, and he relates to her, he finds himself relating to her at least, in a lot of ways because she actually had premonitions of herself dying in an automobile accident way in advance. Just, you know, she felt like she was going to die at every corner, basically. Maybe not even in a car, just in some way. Leading up to her death, she was terrified. And in this track, he kicks it off by saying, my airbag light's been on for weeks. He then starts to detail his journey as he kind of goes through his days, and he's contemplating just staging it all. You know, he'll fly through the windshield. He could easily go get that light checked to find out what's going on, but he would rather die. He is so ready for death. He is in such a depression. He references his friends several times, just talking about the month of his death and the time, the funeral, everything like that. And he's basically wanting to set it up so he flies through that windshield. He can picture the paramedics around him, everybody closing in on him and just saying, oh, this was an accident. And that's exactly what he wants them to think as he just kind of fades out of this world. I love how powerful this track is. It's just so dark, and his voice just carries this song. I love the just extremely strong wow, wow, that carry this track, especially towards the outro, and those guitar riffs that are just kind of sludgy, dark once again, and just kind of ominous, honestly, kind of talking about this depressed individual that is heading for a death sentence. At least that's what he's hoping for.
Like my car to pass,
It was so hard to pick the order of my top 3 just because these songs are all just in their own right, chilling, spine-tingling, and just uncomfortable at points to listen to. But I put Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day as my number 3 pick. Wake Me Up is a track that was written about Billy Joe Armstrong's father, who passed away in September 1st of 1982. This is a track that sees him just being scared at first, writing as his younger self, I believe his 18-year-old self, kind of reflecting on the past, seeing himself getting older. The memories start to fade, the pain is less painful and less noticeable, but the memories will always still be there. The line, "Wake me up when September ends," actually came from what Billy Joe said to his mother after running out of his own father's funeral because he just could not take it. And he said, "Wake me up when September ends," because his father died on September 1st. He wanted this month out of his life. He couldn't even bear another moment of it. So obviously he's trying to run from his own thoughts, everything that's going on. And in this track, we see it start off very, very sad. This light acoustic guitar, Billy's voice feels a little bit more trembling, a little bit shaky and unconfident. But as the track builds, we see him get older, and we see that as a message of hope, just kind of building the blocks over and over again, climbing the ladder and saying, you know, I'm gonna get through this. And as you get older, you get stronger, you get a tougher exterior on your skin, and maybe things don't hurt quite as much, but you'll never forget that pain. And I love how Billy's vocals do get more hopeful here, especially as the drumming and guitars increase on this track, building all the way to that guitar solo. And I cannot tell you how many times this song has brought tears to my eyes, especially every time I read the lyrics along with it. It's just impossible almost for me to just not start letting those tears flow, because I think about the pain and hurt that I would feel if I lost a parent or really anybody close in my life. And that's what I really connect with on this track. I feel that pain. And whenever a song can do that for you, whenever it can make you feel this many things, you know you've got something just very, very special on your hands.
If you could get me a drink of water, 'cause my lips are chapped and faded, calm my memory, help her gather all my things.
Number 2 is a very, very personal song for me. It still makes me a little bit uncomfortable to talk about, and I'm so sorry if I do get a little bit emotional while I talk about this song, but I'm realizing just the more I make this video, it's completely unscripted here with this one. Just how hard it is for me to talk about some of these songs because I have so much to say. And with Cancer, this is a song by My Chemical Romance off of their album The Black Parade. The patient, the protagonist of our story in The Black Parade, is dying. He's fading away and he's watching his life fade before him. And my mom actually had breast cancer. She was diagnosed in 2011. And I remember the day that I found out, I punched a hole through the wall of our house that I was living in at the time. And I couldn't even bear being around it, especially my mom while she was going through all this. My dad was having to do some of the chemotherapy treatment at our own house. You know, it was just right in front of me, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how early they caught it, or, you know, if she was going to go into remission. And fortunately she did, but I moved out 2 months after that, and I couldn't even bear to really just take it because I love my mom very, very much. And this is a track that I connected with because during that time I needed something to let me know that there was something else out there, somebody else that maybe felt that pain. And while I know this is a fictional story, it still gave me comfort. Cancer is a track that just sees one preparing for that imminent death, not knowing necessarily what's coming next, but they want to be prepared for their loved ones. Gather all my things, bury me in all my favorite colors, lay me down into the ground. And it's just pathetic because you see that this individual just can't do anything for themselves. They've basically gotten to that point where they can no longer care for themselves and they want death to come. It's an agonizing and brutal tune, and if you guys have never heard it, please go check out that playlist in the description.
We found your man. He's drinking up. He's all American. And drive. He's volunteered with grace to end your life.
All lives are important and special, but the life of a child, it's heartbreaking to see a child lost at a young age. And the track Limousine by Brand New is all about the death of a child, a flower girl at her aunt's wedding, and a drunk driver who took away her life. And Jesse Lacey pins the lyrics mainly from just somebody nearby, maybe her parent, maybe I think it changes perspectives a couple of different times. Like at one point, whenever it's counting down the numbers, it's from the mother's perspective, saying, my child has died, but please, even if I say something to you, if you can respond to me, don't do it because I can't handle it. And the numbers from 1 will love you so much, 2 will love you so much, it counts all the way up to her age of 7, which is how old she was whenever she passed away. This poor little child, innocent child, got in a limo with her parents after this wedding and headed home to Florida, somewhere in Florida, and a drunk driver drove 2 miles on the wrong side of the road before colliding with their limousine head on and killing this poor child on the spot. All that was left of the child was her head, and that's all her parents had to hold on to because that's literally how it killed her. And the parents survived, the limo driver died, and the poor little girl died as well. And we just see just all of the pain and frustration building up in this track, and it's so incredible because they didn't experience this themselves, Brand New, the band, but the feeling here is absolutely just like a gut punch. It's like somebody sucker punched you right in your emotions, because whenever you listen to this track, it just accurately depicts everything that happened in this just terrible, tragic story. It's one of those songs that builds in intensity. It starts off just so slow. He's talking about, basically saying he'll volunteer to take your life. He's describing the little girl happy on her day, imagining maybe her own wedding day someday. But then you've got this guy out here, and he'll gladly volunteer to take your life. Somebody who would carelessly hop behind the wheel of a vehicle after having 14 alcoholic beverages. His blood alcohol content was at 0.028, which is over 3 times the legal limit, which is absolutely mind-blowing and mind-bending that he would ever get into a vehicle. And now he's not even feeling the remorse that he should feel, and that's addressed, I believe, in this song, if not indirectly, somewhat on the nose at some points. And this track grows in intensity as it starts to describe all of these new details and maybe the feelings of the parents. And this track just cuts like a blade, especially once that final part just builds and builds and builds. 1 will love you too much, 2 will love you so much, I can dish it out, but I can't take it. And then finally it just cascades into a chaotic mess of guitars, which is just a huge breakthrough moment. One of the biggest moments on The Devil and God are Raging Inside Me, my 3rd favorite album of all time. This track is unbelievable, guys. I highly recommend, like I've said before, read the story that goes along with this. It'll break your heart. I know this video was very serious in tone and maybe a little bit long-winded, but I had a lot to say, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you did, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, maybe on the more serious side of things, leave me topic suggestions because I would love to hear what you guys would like to see for 7 on Sunday. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back very, very soon. I have a couple of really cool ideas planned for SOS, including 7 underrated Green Day songs leading up to the release of Revolution Radio. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see last week's episode or a recent review I did on my main channel, any of my social media stuff, it's all either in the annotations below me or at the links in the description down below. I'll see you guys very soon on Beyond ARTV.